Okay, so last class, what we did was we had an idea of the varargs, and we have discussed in at length about why we will be needing to use varargs, and the next topic was very important topic with respect to what we know as object-oriented programming or object-oriented concept programming concepts is inheritance. We have seen that inheritance works fine. I mean, that is very important concept as well as, but at the same time, we have seen that we have understood why we will have an issue if we try to do a multiple inheritance, why it is not implemented in Java. But we will also learn that to avoid this inconvenience, if we want to inherit multiple classes, then we have an option. For that, we need to understand the interface. That interface, it is a bit different from class, but we will learn about interface. But before going to interface, let us see some the concept of the super method. Okay, it is not the super keyword, it is super method. Just remember. Let's go to super method. What is a super? That means a class can be a super class if it has a subclass. And as I said, for any object, for any class, there is one only super object or super class. What is that? That that is the Brahma, which is the object itself. Object, object. So let's see that there is a class A. This is again a helper class where I have two constructors. One is the default constructor because A and A is the constructor. We cannot say that this is a method. There is another constructor called the parameterized constructor. You already know that. First of all, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So in the parameterized constructor and the the default constructor. Here it is not a default constructor because you have done something inside the constructor. A default constructor for any class should be without, it should be an empty constructor. There shouldn't be anything inside. Just the name of the constructor and that's all. And an empty body. This body should be empty. But here we are defining a constructor without any arguments, and there is another constructor for A which is with an argument. Okay, and we are doing something with that constructor. So these two are different constructors but of the same class, therefore they are of the same name. Let's go to the another one. Now, since we already understand inheritance, we know that we can inherit into B, another class, the properties of A by simply saying extends A. Now B will be called a subclass and A will be called a superclass to B. Is that correct? So this is the father and this is the son or the daughter. No issues, right? I understand. Now within this, I also have two constructors, B and another B. This is the not the empty. This is without any parameter. This is with parameter. What I'm doing within one constructor, I'm calling super, but super means I'm calling the super method of the super class. But here the method or the constructor that I'm calling is a parameterized constructor calling the parameterized constructor. Why I'm doing that? How I'm saying is I'm calling the parameters because I'm passing a parameter. So I'm calling this. I'm not calling this of the super class. Got it? Very, very simple concept. If I had given this, If unfortunately I cannot do a two call to a super in the same method, I cannot do two calls to a super. One the super without parameter and one with the super parameter. No, I cannot do that. So in that case, if I say I remark this out, then I can definitely call the other constructor which is without the this thing. Okay, got it. So this will be called, not this. Did you get the concept? So this is how you call a super method. Either you call the method with a parameter or without any parameter, as per your definition. Now I am saying that I am in class B. Simple. Similarly, I have B constructor with a parameter. It is also similarly calling the super. Here I have given a constant 5, but here I'm giving a, because it has a parameter. This doesn't have any parameter, so I will pass on the parameter to call the super method. Calling the parameterized constructor of class A. So class A will be called, and this will not be called, this will be called with the value of I which has been passed externally to constructor B. These things you already know, correct? If you can confirm that you have no issues understanding this. Sayantan, Subhas, Sulagna, Suprabhat.
Yes, sir. No.
So these are the concepts that
No
we
issue,
have
sir.
already learned in the previous class. Any questions? Like up to this? Simple. Class B extends class A. That means we are extending the super class so that the class B will inherit these two methods. But these two methods or the constructors are the super class constructor. We can say methods. Okay, fine. So I'm calling a super method from the subclass. I can do that. Also, I can have another constructor, parameterized constructor, from which I can call the super parameterized constructor. All these combinations we can do. And similarly, I'm printing that I'm in B and I'm printing the value of I. We can do that. Now let's come to the main class, which has a main method. And I'm saying B. What is B? B is this one. I'm creating an object 1 of class B. I'm saying simply new B. Now, when we say new B without any parameter, which one will it be called? This one or this one? Naturally, it will be this
The
one.
first one.
The first one. Yes, correct. And the first one in turn will call the super method with the parameter. So this one will be called. Okay. I am not mentioning super A. I'm not mentioning this. I cannot do that. By default, whatever you are calling, you are definitely calling A, because A is the super class of B. B is a subclass. As well as when you are not mentioning the parameter, you never call any constructor by the name unless you create an object. Here we are calling the constructor by the name B because I want to create this object obj1. Also, now I'm trying to create with the same B another object, but now this is a new B with a parameter. So now B will be called with this, and the super will be called with a value of 10 because I'm passing I as 10. I'm passing here and I'm passing 10 here, and therefore I'm calling super I. Therefore, what it is doing? It is going to super with a constructor. Okay, yeah, constructor with a parameter. Okay, so I'm calling this. So very simple, right? If I do this, if I do this, what will happen? Now, basically, this definition and this definition are the same. Though I'm creating two objects, one object 2 and the other object 3. And similarly, this one, no issues. Because here I'm creating an object 4 with new B. New B is this. Very simple, very simple. We will just we will execute this. We are storing this and then we are running the super demo. It will simply be like this. First of all, let's go through it. Let's see what is happening where. So if it is happening the compiler has come directly to the main, it goes here, it creates an object 1 from the constructor without a parameter of class B. So I go here, yes, I am going here. I am first of all executing super 5, super with a parameter 5. So I will see that yes, I'm in class A, I'm in parameterized method or constructor called A. They have to match. A matches with A. And also I'm passing 5 because I'm saying I'm going to create. Oh, sorry. Object 1, new B. Yeah, fine. Because I'm passing a parameter 5 for A. So that means this constructor is being called with a parameter 5. So I'm saying I'm printing in A int and plus I. In A in 5. Correct? No issues. Let's go to the next object. Object is object 2, but of class B. So object 2 is of type B. And object 2 is created from out of B constructor, which is a parameterized constructor. So let us go here and check. Okay, we are in class B, but again, it is calling a constructor with a parameter. So fine. And what is the parameter? Parameter is 10. So it will call super method with 10. What is that? This one. So similarly, it will say super I in B int. Okay. Oh, remember one thing. What I have done is, first of all, we are not yet over with obj1, which is of new B. Okay, new B says that this is this thing, and says super 5. So first of all, it will go to super 5. So what is there in super 5? It is saying that I'm going to execute this constructor with 5, and I'm going to say in a int. But do you see that there is another action within this B without any parameter? This is this one. So therefore, it is also printing in B method or constructor without any parameter. Fine. Let us go to the object 2. Object 2 says that I'm creating myself as an object 2 out of type B, that is class B. But this B, I am creating this myself through a constructor, parameterized constructor. I'm passing a parameter of 10. So let me go here. Yes, I am passing 10, fine. But I am calling first the super 10. Super 10 is this one, a super constructor with 10. So I'm saying in a in 10. Okay. But then also will come here and I will say that I am in B int and the value is 10. In B and value in 10. Correct? Let us come to the object 3. Object 3 will be the same thing like this in A int 5, in B int 5. And last one is object 4, which is like object 1. Okay, it will print like it has printed here, the same thing. Same thing. Because it is B empty, B no parameter, so it goes and it is passing a constant 5. Therefore, it is printing 5. Any questions? Super is very simple. You call the super from a subclass and execute the constructor or method, whatever you want to do. Very simple. So you have learned the inner class the other day. Who is the super class of inner class?
The outer class.
The outer class, of course. But again, why did we define the static method for the inner class? Such that I can directly call any instance variable of of the outer class or the enclosing class, which has a static reference. That means static to static call. Otherwise, the instance variable which was created outside, so it's sort of a security. That means you are definitely creating the class, inner class. For the object created out of the inner class, somebody can always access the variables which are the instance variables or the methods which are defined within the static inner class without going through the outer one. As we already understood, why we define static, why is this static method, why is this static accessor or modifier? Because we want to say that the compiler, you can go directly and execute main, because I do not need any object to access whatever the variables and classes and methods defined within main or being called by main, because I am using a static. Similarly, for an inner class, if you say static, that means you are giving a license to the inner class to access the static methods or variables of the outer class. Otherwise, it will not be able to access it. So it is sort of a security given to the inner class. Otherwise, what will happen is, it will if you say inner class, that is non-static declaration. That means if you can say the inner class as non-static, that means you do not mention static or any accessor or modifier. You just say class, say outer class is outer and inner class is just mention class inner. So there is no security now. If you want to secure any data within the inner object and also the outer one, so you please mention static, such that it cannot reference to any non-static data called from the static class. Anyway, we will go to the next topic, which is multiple inheritance. That is already you have known. So we will understand the interface. What is an interface? Let's see. This is one of the vital, very, very, very vital topic. You need to understand interface. Like what we were saying in class. Class is a blueprint, right? Somebody told me that what is a class? You said the class should be a blueprint. Now we say we are coming. Why then we need an interface? Interface, can anybody tell me? Why do you need an interface? If you have a class, class is a blueprint. Why do you need an interface in that case? First of all, anybody if with any answer?
Without interface, we can't do multiple inheritance.
One of the very correct answer. One of the important aspect why we create interface. Correct. Any other reason why we should have interface? Why in Java there are many interfaces and we follow the interface instead of directly a class. After all, an interface has to be implemented through a class. That is very, very important. But then why do we have an interface? Because we can do everything within the class. And why? Just think simply, not in terms of any language called Java. Just think simply, what is the term? What is the English word interface means? Let's say I'm a client or somebody is a client. Like let's say Sony. Sony is the client. Sony Electronics is a giant. He is a client, and you are working with TCS. Okay, TCS is your employer. You are working in TCS. Okay, and your client therefore is who? Sony Electronics. So what is the relation between you and TCS? Between TCS and Sony? So TCS is the vendor for any service which is being provided to the client. So Sony is the client or the customer of TCS, correct? Now, TCS is not supplying everything to the customer. Maybe TCS has delegated a part of the software building to, let's say, one company called Amdocs, who will do the billing portion, the telecom billing for Sony. So Sony is using so many telecom operators and this and that. So all of this will be built by, or will be some development by Amdocs, who will be doing the billing for your client. So can I say TCS? So there is the client, there is the vendor, and there is a sub vendor. Who is the sub vendor here? Who is the client, first of all? Simple, no? Client is Sony, as I was saying. So who is the vendor? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All of you? Shantan, Subhash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, yes.
So who is the vendor here?
PCS.
TCS. And who is the sub vendor? You might not have heard Amdocs. Amdocs is a billing giant, telecom billing giant. So sub vendor in this case is Amdocs, but Amdocs is contracted to TCS. The client has nothing to do with Amdocs because client doesn't know that you have sub vendored it, or you have a sub vendor who is doing a sub part of your development with Amdocs. So Amdocs being a sub vendor will only interact with whom? With TCS. Amdocs does not interact with the client. So can I say that TCS is the interface between Sony and Amdocs? Can I say that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because Amdocs will interact with TCS, and TCS in turn will interact with the client. That is the structure. That is the structure. That means you give instructions to Amdocs that you have collected the requirements of the vendor, the client. The vendor has collected all the requirements. The vendor, the TCS will have the designers, architect, solution designers, business analysts will work on the requirements and give the blueprint, for to Amdocs to implement it. So here in this case, maybe TCS is not doing the job particularly fully with itself, but has sub-vendored or has given the subcontract of this development activity to Amdocs. So TCS works on the requirements, everything from the client. Basically TCS interacts with the client, gets all the requirements, works on the requirements, converts that into a functional document. The requirements document will be converted to a functional document, and that functional document will be given to Amdocs so that there will be solution design and everything, the technical architect who will do the design and architect the solution and give it hand over to Amdocs to actually implement it. So can I say that TCS is the interface between client and the sub-vendor Amdocs? So here TCS just gives the instructions, but not gives the entire thing. That means the Amdocs will implement whatever the instructions or whatever the functional design that has been given to Amdocs. Is it clear? So on a very high level, TCS will give that, okay, this is the requirement of the vendor, of the client, and you must do it. We must have the features like this. I would like to have a feature like show, the print, and I'm for giving an example, and I will like to have an interface, function called add. So now vendor or sub-vendor Amdocs will take all those requirements, all those solution design and everything, and work to actually implement it. So TCS gives the interface and Amdocs implements it through a class. Is it clear? So I cannot start working on the blueprint unless that blueprint knows what has to be done, what the pieces of features, what are the features required by the customer. These features will be supplied by TCS to Amdocs, who will implement all these features through a class. Is it clear? Now let's see interface. Java does not support multiple inheritance. A class cannot extend more than one class, that we have learned. Idea of abstract class, abstract. Now this is another term, abstract. The idea of abstract class is expanded to have interface which resolve the above difficulty, which extends and implements functionality. That means if I can have a combination of extends and implements, this is implements means implementing an interface. Like for inheritance, you do extends. For interface, you do implements. So if you can combine extends and implements, you can implement multiple interfaces, but you can extend only one class. Then basically you are resolving the issue of multiple inheritance. Because finally you are going to, by extend also, you are implementing it, and by implements also, you are implementing the interface. Only the difference is that it extends the class and this implements an interface. We will make it more clear as we go on. We can have reference to an interface. Remember, this is a term. We can have a reference to an interface, but we cannot create an object out of the interface similar to abstract class. So from an abstract class, you cannot create an interface, an object. Similarly, You cannot create an object out of interface. So my question is, if you cannot create an object from an interface, but you can reference it, what does that mean? That isn't that means that this interface does not have any constructor?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Because it does not have any constructor, it cannot create any object. And why we say that with abstract class also we cannot create an object? Why? This class, abstract class, is almost similar to interface, but this abstract class can have will have, because it's a class, will have a constructor. But why it cannot still create an object? My question is that. Anyone? Because you just have to give an importance to the name itself, abstract. Like the English word meaning of abstract. What does it mean? What did you mean? See, you have gone to see a movie, but you come out without understanding a thing of it. Mostly it is out of your understanding, or you cannot understand what was being told in that movie. But it has conveyed a very high thought. Maybe that thought you were not able to extract. You didn't understand. So you say, this movie is a lousy movie because I couldn't understand a thing of it. And that was directed by a famous, very world famous film director. Let's say we know he's Godard. So you have gone to see a Godard movie and you come out, though you appreciate, yeah, it's a very high thought, but I couldn't understand. Similar is the case with abstract. Abstract means something which cannot be implemented. It is on the paper itself. Similar to interface, everything is on the paper. But someone has to implement this. Similarly, an abstract class will have all abstract methods. Okay. So those methods are not implemented. It will have empty body or doesn't have any body at all. That means there was it is just an abstraction. No actual. So actual and abstract is two different, or they are inversely proportional, or they are opposites. They are antonyms. Okay. Let us see. The main difference between interface and abstract is that interface cannot define any objects, can only declare, whereas abstract class can define a method. Though we have not come to abstract, so let us not just right now jump into that difference. Just try to understand that interface cannot define any method. Okay. In interface, all methods are public abstract, which do not have any method body. There is no body of that method. Interface does not have constructor, as it is not a class. Definitely, therefore, it cannot create any object. Interface is used for generalization, prototype creation, feature requirements. As I said, the customer will give you the requirements of the feature, that I require this. How do you implement it is your headache. Then TCS thought, okay, I have the technology to build few of the features, but not all. So whichever features I cannot build, let it be handled by Amdocs. So Amdocs becomes a sub vendor. It happens in this real world. It will happen like when you join TCS, Cognizant, or IBM, or any other company. You will see that these companies, definitely all a single company cannot do everything. for the client, and the requirement of the clients are so vast and so complicated that it is not possible always to give all features required by the client to by the service vendor or the vendor, or all of its own. So it will take the help of the sub vendors and will jointly develop all the features and deliver it back to the client. So similarly, I will lay down the client will lay down the generalization. What is the requirement? And also the prototype creation. That means the interface, like TCS will do the prototype creation by converting the requirement, the requirement into functional requirement. Functional means technical requirement. And then the designer or the architect can work on that technical design, functional requirement which has been designed by the functional requirement. There will be in your company, in TCS, there will be so many business analysts. They will work on the business requirements of the client and convert that business requirement into functional requirement or technical requirement. And their part is over. Now they will hand over this technical document or technical requirement or functional requirement to the solution design or technical architect of TCS. Technical architect will convert that functional design to a detailed design document, which is more detailed in its design. And that design will be actually handed over to Amdocs for implementing those features. Okay. So this is the flow chart. This is the way the data flows. Now this interface ABC, I'm just saying, now you have to declare, this is what the name of the interface. Okay, you just say without any thing like the class, you start with a small letter, but the keyword is interface. By saying that ABC is an interface, what I do, I just declare the method. And this method, I will say it's an abstract method, because why? It doesn't have any body. It doesn't have any body. That means if it is have a body, then you can do something like that, do some activities. But it doesn't have even the empty body. It is not allowed. In the interface, you cannot have any symbol like this, no empty body. You just say the name of the feature or the function that you require. That's all. Because this interface comes from the customer. Customer says that I want a show feature, display feature. I want an addition function. How you will implement it is your headache. You have your technical design team and all. I'm just giving an example. And then the TCS functional team, that is the business analyst, will work on this and convert that requirement with the prototype. The prototype will be done by the business analyst. That means you are converting the business requirement into a functional requirement or a technical requirement. But still it's an interface. It is the business analysts are not technical guys. They will just say that, okay, I need an add function with 2 parameters. I need to add 2 numbers only. It will just say, I do not need to add variable number of arguments. So I will not use ... varargs or whatever the name. I will not use varargs. So this is the prototype that has been given by the business analyst. Now, with this business analyst or the interface, now the design team or the technical architect will start working on the class to implement the interface ABC. Are you getting me? Similar to class, this naming convention will be the same, exactly same as the class. It has to start with a capital letter. It cannot start with a digit. You see, immediately it is a wrong name. Syntax error. So ABC is an interface and it is implemented by a class called implementer, which implements, not extends. You cannot extend. If you say extends, it is wrong. because immediately the type ABC cannot be superclass of implementer. That means it is saying that this is not a class. This cannot be a superclass to implementer. It is an interface. So in an interface, you cannot use extend because you can extend only a class, not an interface. What you can do, you have to say implements, because you need to implement the interface. A class already will have, the superclass already have the definition of the methods and everything. But here, the methods in the interface does not have any implementation. So you need to implement it. It is just the name. It's an abstract method. These are abstract methods without any body. Okay. Interface only has abstract methods without a body, but it cannot have a constructor method. Of course, it cannot have. Okay. And within this, then the class starts. In this class, what I have, one show method and one show method, because I have to implement. I cannot leave. Like if I say I will not implement all the methods, then I am not actually implementing ABC. Are you getting me? You could have asked me, sir, there are two abstract methods within the interface ABC. But suppose with this class implementer, I only implement the add method. Will it do? I say no, it will not, because it is not me. It will, the compiler will not allow you to do that. So if you are an implementer, if you are a class which implements the interface ABC, you have to implement all of them. You cannot leave a single one. Any questions here? This is an important concept. You need to understand it. You must understand this. Any questions?
No, sir.
Very good. So you have to implement both the show method of ABC interface. Sulagna, are you listening and understanding?
Yes, sir.
Very good, Sulagna. Correct. So gradually, if you start following even if you don't have any knowledge on Java or any language, you still can follow. I'm explaining it in so simple terms, with giving some the simplest examples. And these simplest examples will help you understand the concept very well, even if you do not know ABC of Java. Okay. So maybe Java is the first language that you are learning. Doesn't matter. You have to start at some point. And let's say we are doing that. So there are two methods, abstract methods within ABC interface: show and add. Add with some integer, some parameter, show without any parameter. Fine. But I have to implement ABC through class called implementer. This is just a class name. I will have to start with a capital letter. And I'm implementing this. I'm just printing out something. Can I leave this blank? I will just have a show method without a body. I can do that. But still, this body needs to be given. If you say like this, and you say like an abstract method, you just give the name of the method and say semicolon. Can I do that? No, because I am in the class. I am implementing ABC. I have to do something. Even if I don't do anything, I need to mention opening brace and closing brace. The braces, the body. I have to mention the body. At least. Then only I'm fine. There isn't any problem. Or is there? Yes, there is. Because see, because it is having this. So I can have an empty body within a method. But that is not my purpose. I'm trying to implement this feature, the show feature. So I'm doing something. Let this something be just printing a line. I'm in the implementer class. And also I need to implement this add method. What I'm doing, I'm saying that I'm adding up j and I, that I'm doing. And also, since it's a method, I have to, and it's returning an int, I have to return the result, the sum. Okay, Sulagna? The return will, it has to return something to the calling method. Somebody is calling this method. So that caller will be returned with the value of the sum. That's why you call something. You do not do it within the main body. You do it within some function. You segregate out. This is called modular programming. You are doing some programming here, but you are clubbing this activity within some method separate from the other method. So you are distinguishing the related work, and you are clubbing them into separate modules. Though these are very simple things, but still we can say that this is one module, this is another module, or maybe different methods. Each method will have its own function, and therefore you are not doing, you could have done everything within this main body. Okay, within this main body you could have done everything. You see the closing brace, the opening brace. So this entire body, within entire body you could have done the addition and whatever, the show, whatever. But it is better to break in the modules and club it separately, such that you do not make this main method, because otherwise this main method, it will be very difficult to debug. When you are trying to maintain it, it will be very difficult for you to debug unless it is modular. So whenever you say show, you will directly know that I have a class with a method called show. Whenever you are adding something with you are calling, this is the calling class, or calling class is interface demo. It's calling the method add of class implementer, and that add is nothing but it is implementing the add method of the interface ABC. Are you getting the relations? What is what? Why it is calling this thing? So I'm coming to the interface demo, the main file. I have a main method. First of all, let us, okay, if I do this, if I say I am referring to, and I'm creating an object obj, but this is an interface. Can I create an object out of interface?
No, sir.
No, I cannot instantiate the type ABC as ABC is an interface. It does not have any constructor called ABC. So this is a wrong, and the compiler will not allow you. Okay, so I just make it off. Next thing, what I do is I actually go for the correct definition. What I can do, I can always say I want to refer to this interface ABC for an object obj, but I will create this object obj with the implementer constructor. And that implementer constructor is implementer itself, the default constructor. Because I have not defined the constructor implementer as at all. So there is always with the class, there is a default empty constructor. But that is sufficient enough to create an object called ABC. Okay. And after that object is created, I am trying to call this show. This show will call this from the implementer and will print I am in the implementer class. That's all. Fine. Now I'm saying int sum. Okay, if you get some issue, you can just name it something else. Oh, no, I will do it here. You can say result. Let's say result. You can do that. What you are doing, you are saying add. Okay, if I say result, then I also have to make it result. Now, what is that result? I'm defining a a variable which is of type int, and I'm saying obj that the object that I have created dot add. I'm calling this add function. Okay, and 45 and 90. So 45 will go for int I. So I will be 45. Just one second. So what I'm doing is, so I will be 45, and what is J? J will be 90.
90.
Yeah, correct. So 1:1 correspondence. I 45, J 90. So first argument is I, second argument is J. So what I'm doing is I am calling this. I will, Sulagna, just try to understand. I am going to sum. I have initialized the sum as 0. Then sum equal to I plus J. That means 45 plus 90, and that value, which is 135, will be stored under sum. And then I'm returning the value of 135 back to the caller who has called this point. So I'm giving back the object the value. The object is obj, the value of 135, and that object I'm assigning the value of that object into int result. Is it clear? So what will be the value of result? So result will be nothing but the function, the value which was returned by the function add of the object obj. Correct? It should be nothing but 135. Finally, I am printing out that the result in the implementer class is the result, the value which is stored over here. Now I am going to come to the, okay, before going to the anonymous class, and you have to understand that somebody has asked me in the previous class, what is an anonymous class? So step by step, I have come to that. Because at that point of time, if I tried to clear you or mention you about anonymous class, then you might have been confused. Let us also, right now, I'm not going to anonymous class. What I'm doing is, I will just, let me, okay, sorry. It is always better to give a star, this individual, because I can take out the comment in a block. So don't worry about this part. We will just work on the okay. We will also comment this out. Let us first try to understand this part of what we are trying to do with that interface. Okay, agreed? We have compiled it, and let me show you the result. Okay. So what we have done after we have implemented the interface, we have gone to the main body, the main function or the main class. In the main method, what we have done, we have created this obj with a reference of the interface and implemented it, or with the constructor, we have created the object obj.show. So where should it go? It will say that I am in the implementer class. In the implementer class. After that, it is storing the result of the add function here this calling 45 plus 90 and storing it in the sum and then putting that value actually into the result. And after that, the result is being created or printed out. So the output is the result in implementer class is 135. Sulagna and others, are you clear about that?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now let us come to, if that is portion is clear, let us now come to a bit of some complication should be there or maybe not. Let's see how we understand this anonymous class. Anonymous, by anonymous, what do you mean? Something without a name, anonymous, something without a name. Here we say anonymous class, so that class without a name, without any name. How do you do that? How do you do that? I'm saying, see, can you create an object from an interface? You say no. But right now, I'm trying to create an object, obj1, exactly from the interface. But as you know, that if you do something on the fly, dynamically, this is a dynamic portion. That is, here it is not dynamic, it is also dynamic, but here you are defining that you are creating an object and giving an object a name. But here I'm not naming anything, but still implementing the interface by using an anonymous class, because a class will implement a, what is that? Class implements interface. So this class has a name implementer, right? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But suppose I do not want to create any class, but still want to implement the method show and method add, the one that I have done here. I want to do the exact thing, but let's say I do not have any class. Okay, you forget that you have a class, correct? For the timing, I will request you not to think that there is any class, because I also have already taken out the class entirely. So there is no class called implementer. No class called implementer. Correct? If that is so, I will see that, I will still have a job at hand to implement show and implement add. Correct? Now what I do, I am creating an anonymous class. So this class is this entire body. From here, you see that this cursor, this ending brace and a semicolon. What I do is whenever you say new ABC, now ABC is an interface, as if you are creating a function constructor of ABC. And if you can create a constructor of an interface, that means your problem is solved. And you can do that only through an anonymous class inline. Inline means whenever you are creating an object, within that object, you are creating this class. But do you have this class any name? Because this ABC is not the name. Because ABC cannot have any constructor. It is an interface. So whatever you are doing this, it is without any name. But still, it is a class. It is working like this implementer class. It is implementing the void show and int add, isn't it? I'm doing the same thing what has been done over here. What has been done over in the class. But since I do not have any class, see how much memory you saved. Can you imagine that the entire class you have not created? That means you have saved the entire, because otherwise the class would have been taken out from the class loader memory and put into the where? If you are following the classes, you should answer this question.
Heap memory.
Heap memory, correct. Very good. Who said this? Shantan. Okay. You see, as long as something is in the class loader memory, I am not worried. My worry comes only something whenever it comes to the heap memory, because that is the memory which is going to be used by the CPU, by the processor, and by your program, because now your program is in the memory, and memory you should not waste, as we have again and again tried to stress. That part. Now, the earlier implementation of this program was that I was implementing ABC through an implementer class which implements the interface. But right now, I'm using an anonymous class. That means this class will only be called at the time of runtime. It will be loaded into the memory, into the heap memory, but it will not be, once you have executed, nothing is there in the heap memory. But if you create this object until you are not out of this, and the garbage collector has not destroyed this object, the object still resides in the heap memory. So think of all the relations that it is happening. You create an object with a name obj, and you use the implementer constructor, the class, through the name. So it's a named object or named class, and you do whatever, everything resides in the memory till the object is, you come out of the program. And after that also, unless the garbage collector clears this object, did you clear this object from your program? No. Yourself, in your program, there is nothing like you deleted the object or removed this object from the memory. So the object is still there in the heap memory. After some time, if it happens that the garbage collector finds that, after it will still try to understand whether you are not using this object. Once it is very sure that not a single part of your program resides in the heap memory, then only, because nobody is using this object obj1, till then it will not remove. But that has a pre-allocated time, the idle time. Idle time is defined already. So then only the object, whenever you cross that idle time, then only the garbage collector, that is a part of the Java code or the runtime engine, who will do the JVM, who will destroy the object. Because unless you destroy the object is holding on to the memory that it has been allocated. Okay. Can you hear me and see the screen? Just to confirm. Till
Yes,
now,
sir.
there is no issue?
No, sir. No issue, sir.
Oh, very good, very good. Then it's quite amazing. So we can continue with the classes. Correct. So what I'm doing here, just observe. This obj1 is a reference of the interface ABC, like here. This is a different object. And I'm saying new ABC as if this interface has an interface. Okay, I know that interface does not have any constructor, but still I'm forcing that to behave as if it's a constructor with an anonymous class. Is this concept clear? I am presenting as if this is a constructor of an interface which normally is not there, but but with anonymous class, I can assume to create an object obj. What is the name of the object? obj1 through this anonymous class construct. Okay, so think of it that this is a class constructor, and constructor definitely is like a method, and but it has a body like this, and you are as if it is a constructor, but generally this ABC will be an interface. It should not have any constructor. So the entire part is called an anonymous class without any name, but still it's a class. Because why it is a class? It is implementing the method or implementing the interface ABC. By implementing the methods show and add. Show and add. In show, we are doing similarly. And what I'm doing here, I see I have created now there is an issue. Because do I have any class called implementer?
No.
No. Can I create this object? No, because there is no implementer at all.
No constructor.
No constructor, yes. So I will just, for the time being, I'm just showing you the anonymous class. This portion you have understood. I will assume. Now we are seeing the constructor. The same thing what it is doing, I'm trying to do it through an anonymous class. So therefore, this obj does not exist. If I cannot create this object, I cannot access this obj. So therefore, I will just remark this. So I am creating this show. I'm trying to implement this show method, which is an abstract method within the interface. And I'm saying that I'm doing something in the anonymous class to implement the interface, correct? And in the add, what I'm doing is just same thing. I'm passing I and J and making an addition of it, storing the result in some sum and returning the sum, returning to the caller. Who is the caller? obj1 through the constructor of an interface through the anonymous class. Now, okay, if I have done that, so that means I have created this object obj1. I have created this object. Can I use this object? Of course, because I have just now created an object through the object obj1 through an anonymous class, right? Remember, it has to be with a semicolon last, because still this one is part of this function or constructor of an object of the. So it is not fully a method or a fully a class. Therefore, it is part of this constructor and I need to give a semicolon over here. That is the syntax you must remember. If I don't give, there is a problem, because then it cannot understand to complete, because if I don't give an insert, I cannot, this is a block of statements within this body, within this opening and closing brace. I say that this is an entire block of statements, but if the entire block of statements is not complete without a, why do you give this one, a semicolon? Similarly, the block of statements also should be ending with a semicolon. And this entire block is called the anonymous class of the constructor. But there is no constructor, therefore we can just say it's an anonymous class. It will be executed at the runtime dynamically, whenever it is called, whenever this object one needs to be created, but without any class reference, without any class. Just I'm saying, and I am referencing to an to an interface called ABC. That's all. It's a very important concept. Finally, I will say that I want to do this, plus I want to also highlight this. I want to see the sum. So what I do, that I want to use obj1. Do not say obj, because obj could not be created. I do not have any class like implementer. I couldn't create obj. And then I'm passing something like that. Or because this add now, it is not 45 and 90. I'm saying 40 and 90 or something else. So here now, what will be the result? It will be 130. Let's see. I will save this. Whether my anonymous class declaration was okay. Yes, it is okay. It is not giving any compilation error, no runtime error as well. So let me understand why this output. So first of all, I'm going to the main. I'm trying to create an object one through the anonymous class, through this syntax. What I say is show. Okay, first of all, I'm going to the show and I'm displaying this in anonymous class to implement the interface. Yeah, correct? As well as, no, right now it is, see, whenever you are creating this object, nothing happens. The object is created with two implementation of the method, show and add. Once you do not call it, see, if you do not call the methods, will you get anything? Anyone? See,
No,
I've created the object, but I'm not using the show and not using the add method. Let's see. See, you are seeing a blank screen? Because, yeah, of course, the heap memory has this obj1 with all these properties or methods, but it is not used by anyone. And also at the same time, can you see this warning sign? The value of the local variable obj1 is not used. Now, as I said one day, that if you are creating a variable or an object or a method, but you are not using it actually, it is a crime, because you are wasting the memory. So therefore, compiler also gives you a warning that, see, I see that in your program, when I go through it, I see that you have implemented it, but there is no use of it. You are not using it. So you are simply wasting, my dear, you are wasting the memory. Please do not do it. If you do not want to use it, do not create it. Do not jumble up the memory. Are you getting me?
yes, sir.
That's the reason you have stored the object with all the properties and methods, but you have not in the memory, but you have not used it. That is not expected. Once you take this out, that means you want to now use it. You see this warning sign has gone. Do you see the warning anymore? No, you are not seeing the warning anymore. So let's again save it and print it. I will definitely get this. Yes. And now this object has returned me a value of 130, because this add has a value of 40 and 90 in ing. So the sum is 130. Very simple. Now we are coming to a very important concept called, see, how many lines did we write when we are creating an anonymous class? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 lines. 12 lines. Now we are stepping into a bit an advanced function or feature, and that is one of the very frequent interview questions. If there are 10 interview questions, you can be rest assured in Java, there will be 3 to 4 questions on Lambda. Because that is one feature that was very much, for a long time, it was being asked by all the programmers, because the other programs like Python, JavaScript, or your Scala, and any other Gradle, Groovy, everyone was using Lambda expression. Only Java didn't have this feature. So from 1.8, Java introduced, because if I have to stay valid or usable in this market, is in this stiff competitive market, I need to be going with the world according to the demands which the programmers are requiring or asking. Okay. Therefore, it has introduced a Lambda expression. What is a Lambda expression? Can I reduce this anonymous? Yeah. Okay. Another thing, for using a Lambda expression, what is important to understand is that okay, better not to puzzle you with that. First of all, let me close this. Let's say right now I have understood how to do it through the class, how to implement an interface through the class, and then we have understood how to implement an interface with an anonymous class. Okay, two things we have learned. Right now, let us understand we can do both of the things with an anonymous class, without using an anonymous class and a class, but using a Lambda expression. Okay, now, one thing I would like to tell you, if you want to use a Lambda expression, first of all, think of a situation where you have an interface with only one abstract method, and that is called a functional interface. So if you want to, there is an annotation in Java called functional interface. An informative annotation type used to indicate that an interface type declaration is needed to a functional interface as defined by the Java language specification. Conceptually, a functional interface is exactly one abstract method. Please try to remember this. A functional interface will have only one abstract method. Since default method we have not learned. We have learned only one abstract method. Okay, that an functional interface should have only one. Just for the timing, you just remember, I can use an annotation called functional interface. Okay. Anyone, any doubt? But why I'm getting an invalid functional interface annotation? ABC is not a functional interface. Yes, it is an interface, but it's not a functional interface. What does that mean? Why it is giving that error?
Because there is too abstract.
Yes, there is too abstract. Functional interface annotation is only applicable for an interface with only one abstract method. Of course, let me write this over here. Or over, let me write it over here. Functional interface annotation is only, annotation will help you, means it gives the compiler a directive. This is sort of a directive, the instructional command or directive, that okay, I'm doing an interface, but this interface is at the same time a functional interface. That means the compiler immediately knows that I will have only one abstract method. I can have multiple default methods. It can, of course, have more than one default. Default is a modifier. Like you have the static, similarly you can have use default modifier, default methods. Now this from 1.8, see 1.8, Java version 1.8 is the landmark where you have changed the interface, you have introduced Lambda functions, you have introduced therefore you have introduced the functional interface as well. So it's a landmark in Java growth path. Without 1.8, you would be, even if you learn Java up to 1.7, you are obsolete in the market. You will not be going further. You will not be much in demand because these annotations, these important things have come from 1.8 only. This will help you to understand or work on Hibernate. That means you don't have to write too many SQL statements. If you want to access the database, you leave it on Hibernate. By what? You give it to the annotation. Let annotation do those parts which are required. And Java knows how to, with this functional interface, Java will treat something with a different thing. I mean, this thing, it knows what has to be done, why you are mentioning functional interface. So it will do accordingly. Gradually, when you learn the higher part, the higher studies, you will see that how it helps you. So your bulk of code comes down. When earlier you were writing 100 lines of code, now you will write 10 lines of code, but you will achieve the same functionality. Which one will you prefer? Will you write 100 lines of code and do mistakes? Do debugging issues, the performance issues, so many issues? Let Java handle all those parts. Okay, so and also not only Java, let the annotations help you to do much of the things that basically you will not be able to achieve if you write code for that. There will be lots of performance issues, lot of errors. Okay, so there is one very important interface called functional interface. It can have, of course, default methods. In 1.8, along with the interface, you can, like right now we have learned that ABC can have only abstract methods. See, this is a wrong statement. This is a correct statement. It cannot have a constructor method, fine. But it can have also, it can have default if you do not comment in future, you might have some problems in understanding a few things. So always I will prefer you, whenever you write a simple code, even you try to comment it such that after later on when you refer to this code, you understand, okay, this I have done because of this. Default methods introduced from version 1.8. Default methods are, we will have one topic on default methods. Defaults are defined methods. Like till now, we knew that whatever there will be, whatever methods in the will be there in interface are all abstract methods. But now we see that apart from at least one abstract method, you can have lot of, or you can have more than one default methods. A defined method, that means the normal methods, but you have to give a constructor, identifier or a modifier with the method. Like say, you can have something like default void display. But now you see immediately the error has gone, because now you can define something. You can say CISO you can say what? In an interface. See, with this discussion of interface, I'm covering a lot of topics. So I will not repeat those topics whenever in the roadmap, if that happens. Okay. So whoever has attended today's class is very important that we are covering a lot of things within one example. I will not repeat those because we are going a bit slow. In an interface, I'm writing a message or I'm implementing this method display. But this display method can be done within an interface because it is with a default method. So I can define it. In an interface, I can have default method. And default method name is this. Okay. But still it is giving an error. Like somebody has told me that I cannot have more than one abstract methods. Okay, but here I was having show and add methods. Also, I have a display method, but this display method is default. So it is not an abstract method. Display method, it is a default method and not an abstract because it has a defined body of the method. This is the body. I'm doing something with this. I'm displaying something. Still, this is having an error. So I will have to, let's say I'm taking this out. I'm commenting this. Now, immediately you see, did it go? Did this error go?
Yes.
Yes, it goes. Why? Therefore, I have justified that I have defined this interface as a functional interface. And unless you define an interface as a functional interface, you will not be able to use the Lambda expression. Are you getting me? Lambda expression. One can use a Lambda expression. Somebody says a Lambda expression, Lambda function or function. One can use a Lambda expression only with a functional interface or a functional interface, right? Which is an interface with only one method. Only one what method? Abstract method. Again and again, I'm repeating because I would need to let you know the importance of this so that you never forget it. Okay. Okay. Can you tell me what is the mistake here?
So show method.
No, show method I have taken out. Because if I cannot, I'm trying to work with this add method only. Add abstract method. This is an abstract method. Like the show method, this is also an abstract method. Okay, both are the abstract method, but I have taken out because to go by this functional interface, I need to have only one method. But I'm trying to create this because that is the prerequisite for using a lambda expression. I cannot have more than one abstract method. So one abstract method means what do you know? You know something, right? You know, and this is where the lambda expression is very important. It will eliminate the knowns. Whichever you know, you do not have to repeat it. You have to be a very smart programmer. You cannot say that I know this thing and it is already known to everyone. At least to the compiler, it knows that there is only one abstract method because you have used the functional interface. So it knows only one abstract method. What else it knows? What is that abstract method? It knows that the name of that abstract method is add. Therefore, what are the knowns here? Add. That there is an abstract method and by no. It will not consider this because it is a default method you have implemented already. So let me create a lambda expression. But what it is giving? Okay. First of all, what do you do? Let me first of all correct it. Correct it. Just give me some time. Let me first of all correct it. Just give me some time. Okay. I'm creating an anonymous object. What I'm doing. Okay, let me copy this. There is some issue somewhere. And I'm doing this. Let us take all these comments out. Taking this out. Okay. So let this be, this is an anonymous. So here I'm saying anonymous class. Simply, what I'm trying to do is convert this anonymous class into a Lambda expression. So what are the things? No, first of all, I have to take this out away because I'm not going to use the show. The show is the method which I have already taken out. Show is a method that has already been taken out, right? Because there is need to be only one abstract method here. So fine, I'm using this as an anonymous class. What I know is what I'm printing it. I'm doing it. I have one add method which I'm trying to implement it, and I'm returning the sum. Show I cannot do show because I have taken this out. For the time being, I'm complementing this, commenting this. I have only this part. So this part works if it's an anonymous class. Now, what do I know? That this is not required, correct? Because I already know that I am trying to do a lambda expression. I am trying to eliminate all the knowns. So ABC is a reference to this functional interface. So I do not have any need of mentioning this again. So I am taking this out. Also this braces. And also that I know that there is only one add method, right? Only one abstract method, add. Any confusion? What I'm doing is eliminating the knowns, and I'm eliminating this up to this. See this up to add. I know the name of the add is name of the method is add. So I'm eliminating up to this. This. And I am introducing this lambda expression. Okay. And then I am introducing so what I did, I have reduced the code of the anonymous class a bit. I have taken out all the knowns. Can I do that? I can do that, of course. I can do that because I have used very, very important thing. This is the lambda expression. This is sort of an expression. What I'm doing is reducing the anonymous class into lambda expression. I have taken out new ABC, this opening bracket. I know that this I will not use this. I will know that I only using add. So I'm just keeping the prototype of function, whatever the name of the function. I'm not worried because I know that there is only one function, one method, which is an abstract method. So let the prototype be like this. And within this, I have some process. What I'm doing, I'm initializing some, just like what has been implemented. The way I try to implement the add method. This is just an abstract, and I'm implementing like in the anonymous class or like here. I'm implementing this. What I did, I declared the sum equal to I plus j and returning sum. I'm returning something which is back to the caller. That means this object will hold the value of the sum I plus j. And after this, I have created this lambda expression. Okay. After I have created this lambda expression, I am saying that I am using this because I have created this object with the help of the lambda expression, and I'm just giving a name as is given in the abstract method. The name of the abstract method in this interface ABC is ABC. I have to give the same name, add, and I'm passing the parameters. That's all. I will print 130. First of all, let me execute this through the lambda. Now there is no anonymous class, there is no class, only the functional interface. And also, since this functional interface has display method, I can also, how do you say, anonymous class. And let me have another print statement. I'm saying I want to the display method in anonymous class. What I do here, does display method have any parameters? No. And does it return anything? It is returning void only, nothing. It is just a print statement. Okay. So what I say, object display and without anything, no parameters, blank. Why it is giving an error? It is giving an error because the operator plus is undefined for the arguments type string. Okay. Here, because see, this is an argument. This is without any argument, and it's returning nothing, like void. So what is that you are doing in the println? Because you are using obj2. Obj2 does not return anything, so you cannot use this. What I'm doing, I'm simply going these are. What I'm doing is I'm just calling this function. I do not need to print anything because this is, after all, it is the void. It is the void. The output is void. If I had given a string, the output as string, I have to say return something. Okay, return a string. Then I could have used system. The println. But here, since I am saying void, I am not being able to do that. There is no return. Fine, doesn't matter. I will simply call this, because once you call this, whatever inside this will be executed. Fine. Let us. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Here you might have some questions. Please do let me know. Let us see whether it works with the lambda expression. I should get something 130 as well as I will print this one. Because the default is already, default within the interface is already defined. Let me run this. Okay, yes. The result in anonymous class is 130. Do you agree? Do you agree? Because now
Yes.
it is matching the prototype, and that prototype has been declared in the abstract method. It is just a declaration. There is no definition. There is no body of this abstract method. Therefore, this lambda expression will have the prototype of add, and I'm implementing this lambda with the lambda expression, the entire prototype or the entire function, because I need to implement that one abstract method which is there. I know the name because the compiler knows the name, because there is only one. So if in this world you were only the person, try to understand the question. If in this entire world you were the only one human being, what is the meaning of your name? Nobody is there to call you by name, right? Why there is a roll call? Because there are multiple students in a class. But if there was only one student in a class, does the roll call has any meaning? Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So I have no meaning of a name because I know the name of the function. It is only one function, only one abstract, only one abstract method. So why do you specify a method name? Compiler already knows that name. So whatever knowns are there, try to think of whatever the knowns. So what I did, I was having some problem in converting. Okay. Because at that point of time, I have done this, but right now there was some issue. So what I did simply was I have copied the entire anonymous class into this, and then I started reducing the knowns. First of all, I have taken out this show because there was no show method. It has only one. And after that, because this add and public, what is the return type, all these things are known to the compiler. You do not need to mention it. Only that you have to mention the prototype. Okay. Now again, so everything I have reduced. Only I have implemented this part because somebody has to give this. At the same time, how much can you reduce more? Can you reduce? Is there any scope to reduce the lambda expression more? The lambda expression will be defined by this. Very important. And the rest of the things are whatever the method you want to implement. What are the activities? But my question is, I'm getting the result, fine, but I'm still not happy. I want to reduce this code further.
Sir, return I plus j if we
Okay,
don't use some.
very good suggestion. Very good suggestion. Return. I will include that within bracket. Very good suggestion. This is one very important suggestion given by whom? Is it Shantan?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is one part. So I can safely remove this. Can I? Or first of all, let me comment this out. I'm not sure what all can I give. So can I, if I can do this, can I remove this? Because there is no use of sum. Very good suggestion. What else? Yeah, I accept that I can just give one statement because it will add, because I have nothing to do with sum, because I am returning the value of this addition into the object. So object is holding the value of this sum. And then I am calling this object with the method and passing the exact parameters. So 40 will go to I and 90 will go to j. After that, I'm sure I am free. But is there any other scope to reduce the lambda expression? I cannot take it out. This is the lambda expression. I cannot take this out. Anyone? Just a suggestion. It can be wrong. Doesn't matter. You have to try. Suprabhat, Subhash, Sulagna, Sayantan is of course responding. What else? Just think. Just any suggestion? Okay, let me take this out. Can I do this? Can I take away this this declaration? Oh, yes, I can. Because the compiler is too intelligent. Java compiler is like magic. It knows that whenever you are saying return, this addition must be operating between integers. Correct? So what is the use of stating int? It is a redundant declaration. But so do you agree? So how much less the code has become right now? You see this one. You see this one. Are you not happy with this? Is it not a smart way of programming?
Yes, sir.
So I know add, I know that I'm going to return the value of this summation. So why to have create a variable and then store the summation into that variable and then return that variable? No need. And also I do not need to declare this thing, because if I'm going to add, that means I'm going to add between two integers or two doubles. Yeah, okay. If I say 40.5 and 90.9, you are going to get this thing. Because why? Can anybody tell me why I'm getting an issue here? I'm actually not getting an issue over here in this lambda expression. Where I'm getting the issue? I'm getting an issue because this is a double type of argument. It's a double argument. Or if you mention float, you have to say f. Okay. But anyway, it is not an integer. But then why is the problem? It can still add. I can add 40.5 with 90.5, whether it's a float or double. The problem is because the prototype is violated. The prototype says that I have to pass integer. You cannot declare something and define something else. Am I correct in saying that? See, what I have done a simple program. Then I'm expanding the program. That is how what I'm suggesting is you have to say, maybe slowly you can write down the entire code by following this video or audio. Okay. After that, you must play around. You expand your this thing. Your knowledge will be expanded. Nothing else. You will learn more. Why I cannot do this? Because my simple answer is I have defined as the prototype as for add is INTI, INTJ. Now I am passing in the argument double I and double j, or float I or float j. Will it be acceptable? No. Okay, now my question is whether my shortened, when I made it shorter a bit more, will it work? Let's see. I will run it. Yeah, it works. It works. Same way. Is there any way you can reduce it more? It cannot, because see, this is a function and it is using a lambda expression to implement that function. So a function is always a block, whether it's a single line or doesn't matter, it is a block. So to specify that block, I must do it this way. Oh, sorry, there is an extra bracket. Oh, were there any? What is the issue? Oh, mistake. So a token is expected, which is just because this is a function, I need to at least mention the block. And now the block is, but you need to mention a question mark. Semicolon. Because the end of the block you have to indicate by the terminate by a semicolon. So this semicolon was missing, that's why it was giving a problem. So everything in one line. Everything you have done within a single line. Is there any scope to reduce it further? So if you think that it cannot be reduced any further, then that means that is all. That is what much you can do, that much you can do. You cannot give this thing. Can you take out that brackets? No, because otherwise it is not confirming that this is actually a prototype of a function. A function must have a single bracket, and that means within parentheses whatever you do. Can you say, can I do this way? I will just have a comma. I cannot do that because, and then how come this comes? I cannot do much. I have to mention the parameters, because that is otherwise it is violating the prototype. See, syntax error or tokens, type elided, formal parameter expected, formal parameter expected. These are called formal parameters. This int I and int j. Okay, so at least you mention, say, a comma b, some parameter, then it's okay. Oh, it should be I. Fine, you can change this. You can say a comma b. Is it okay? Oh, doing mistakes after mistakes. You do not need to mention int, because if you are making a plus sign, that means these are int. And also you do not need to mention int a, int b. Let me give a gap. Okay. So this much we can do. We cannot further reduce it. So are you more or less getting? We will go to lambda expressions more. But right now, did you get some concept of you can tell me what is the time that we are going to stop? When did we start? Oh, it is almost over, right? So how much
Yes,
did you get?
11:50.
Huh?
I think 11:50 was the starting time.
So 11:50. So it is 13:58. Okay. We have almost covered 2 hours, right? More than 2 hours. But today, tell me, we have covered many important concepts, that these concepts take a lot of time to understand. But did you understand interface?
Yes,
Did you understand a class which implements interface?
yes, sir.
Did you understand anonymous class?
Yes, sir.
Did you
Yes,
understand
sir.
sorry,
Sir.
anonymous class? Yes. And also, did you lastly understand functional interface, abstract method, that is only one abstract method, and finally, an example of a lambda expression through the add function? I would request you to go through this video very slowly, work on this super demo first of all, and then interface. This portion, this demo, this particular example is very important for you to understand. Otherwise, you will have difficulty further going forward. Okay, I will request you to do that. I will stop the sharing. So what we have covered today is multiple inheritance in Java and many things. We have not used static method. We will see that, but at least we have an understanding of static method. That is some method which can access its inner class. I mean the method which can have direct access without creating any object, without through an object. I mean to say. In the meantime, we have learned about this functional interface and lambda expression, and as well as anonymous class and also anonymous. If you know an anonymous class, you will also know anonymous class, but we will go through an example like that. But at least the concept part is over. So you can very fast take this class. I mean, I can breeze through them. Okay. So I will stop the sharing today. Is that fine?
Okay, sir.
And I will, Sulagna, Subhas, Shantan, are you happy? I mean, at least the things that we have covered today.